In a short moment, we'll be streaming from Hungary to celebrate the FinTech cooperation between Hungary and Singapore. Join us as we celebrate 50 years of the two countries working together. We start with an opening speech by MNB Deputy Governor, Mr. Mihaly Patai, followed by speeches from Hungary's Minister of Innovation and Technology, Dr. Laszlo, Parkovic, and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Mr. Peta. And last but not least, Singapore's MAS Chief FinTech Officer, Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you on the second day of the World FinTech Festival here in Budapest. I'm Peter Linker, and once again, I'm honoured to be your host on this, the second day of this unique event. Yesterday, we were fortunate to attain a deeper understanding of payment systems innovations and cybersecurity challenges through the lens of regulators, fintech companies and incumbents. Today, the Impact Summit. At the World FinTech Festival here in Budapest, we will be covering topics such as financial inclusion and sustainable finance. But first and foremost, I would like to announce an event celebrating the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between Singapore and Hungary. To honour this occasion, the Central Bank of Hungary has issued a commemorative medal, which will be presented to the public for the first time today. We will also be witnessing the signing ceremony of a cooperation agreement that further strengthens the collaboration between the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the Central Bank of Hungary in the field of digitalization and innovation. I'm pleased to ask the host of this high-level session, Mr. Mihály Patai, Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Hungary, Chairman of the Budapest Stock Exchange and Gyro, that's the automated clearinghouse operator in Hungary, and Vice President of the Hungarian Economic Association, to commence this diplomatic event with his opening speech. Mr. Patai has great experience in the banking sector as well as in finance. Prior to his current position, he was the president of the Hungarian Banking Association and chairman and CEO of Unicredit Bank Hungary. During his career, he has also held a position at the World Bank. Now, please welcome the opening address of Deputy Governor Patai.
Good morning, good day, good evening. I warmly welcome all of you at the very first World FinTech Festival in Budapest. Please allow me to express my special gratitude to our distinguished speakers and participants for joining us today. Also, I would like to thank the organizers, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the Association of Banks in Singapore, and the Singex Holdings for making this event happen despite the global pandemic. We in Hungary are honored to be one of the global satellite partners of this year's festival. In the recent years, we witnessed an emergence of new megatrends. Digitalization and sustainability are among these megatrends, and their role in the current transformation of the world is unquestionable. We can observe how the pandemic has been accelerating the ongoing transformation shaped by these megatrends. Adapting to the technological revolution, embracing and supporting digitalization, and promoting a greener and more sustainable economic policy are crucial for overcoming the current crisis and for maintaining and increasing competitiveness for the long run. Due to the pandemic, digital solutions like digital finance, e-governance, e-commerce, telemedicine, home office have become more widespread, and digitalization will be the new standard of life in the coming decade and the key to a successful recovery. Furthermore, the digitalization of financial services with an added impetus of COVID-19, has a significant effect on financial inclusion, therefore enhances equality and contributes to social welfare and democratizes finances. Given the importance of this matter, financial inclusion will be discussed in depth later on today. The pandemic also underlined the importance of sustainability in both financial and ecological regards. Green policies should be in the forefront of the agenda of governments, businesses, and central banks as well. Our efforts for a greener and more sustainable economy appear on today's agenda as well, as green finance is an integral part of this forward-looking mindset. In the recent years, we observed an expansion in the central bank functions. Going beyond traditional activities, central banks are among the drivers of digital transformation. In the new age of digitalization, it is not sufficient that the regulators understand financial markets in general. They need new skills and techniques to embrace the innovative mindset and to foster cooperation mechanisms among all members of the financial ecosystem. Economic setbacks, as the COVID-19 crisis, also provoked central banks to become activists, to look beyond their traditional mandate and keep an eye on full employment, economic stability, and sustainable growth as well. Just a second. Close cooperation between central banks and governments proved to be the only way of properly tackling the economic effects of COVID-19. The Central Bank of Hungary was among the first central banks emphasizing the need for close cooperation between government's economic policy and monetary policy while maintaining price stability. Fiscal policy, monetary policy, and structural policies must work in harmony in order to support competitiveness and production capacities in the long run. My point to take away is this. The borders between fiscal policy and monetary policy will be fluid. Emphasis will be put on the cooperation of the two. The fintech sector is growing dynamically in the terms of user base, range of products and services, and its financing. Central banks have a responsibility to influence how new players will reshape the financial service landscape and the financial system more broadly. Central banks must drive the digital transformation of the domestic financial system. In accordance with this mindset, the Central Bank of Hungary has launched an instant payment system in early 2020. The system, which is mandatory for all banks operating in Hungary, serves as a basis and an engine for the digital transformation for all actors of the financial system. Central banks also need to step up as supporters of financial innovations and regulators parallelly. And I believe that the new way forward is based on the effective collaboration of central banks, incumbent institutions, and fintechs. Central banks and financial supervisors must provide a level playing field for the banking sector and fintech companies. And in closing, our participation at the Singapore FinTech Summit signals that Hungary and Singapore share values in terms of promoting innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. From the Central Bank of Hungary's perspective, we reach a new milestone today by signing a memorandum of understanding with our Singaporean colleagues, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. I believe this agreement will enable us to further strengthen our cooperation in the field of digitalization and enhance the fintech ecosystem. In this uplifting spirit, I wish you all productive and fruitful discussions. Thank you very much.
Mr. Deputy Governor, thank you for your highly appreciated welcoming remarks. And now, as the first guest speaker of this high-level opening session, it is my pleasure to welcome Hungary's Minister of Innovation and Technology, Dr. Laszlo Parkovic. I believe there is no better person than he to talk about Hungary's approach to innovation and technology. Please welcome the speech of Minister Parkovic.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the invitation. Well, we have unusual days today, since we intended to participate at this conference and to talk about the Hungarian digital environment and digital developments in person, but unfortunately the virus didn't make it possible, so that's why I will make my contribution via this digital interface. Nevertheless, I think that the virus also pointed out that why do we need to develop this kind of systems. If we would look back 10 years ago, this all would not be possible without having this digital environment. Today we talk about things like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, social networks, big data, blockchain, mobile tools and services, and many other things which influence our life, and we need to adapt ourselves to this changed environment. That is what is going on also in Hungary, and the strategy what we developed in 2015, the digital development of the Hungarian ecosystem, contains four major elements. First is the human perspective, the digital competency development for all the age groups starting in kindergarten up to the elderly ages. Infrastructure development, also very important element, since the digital age cannot be realized without having the proper infrastructure. I will come back to this point in a minute. Digitization of businesses. Today the business is not made like it was made 10 years ago, and of course the government needs to provide also those services which are available in the electric way. I just would like to introduce you to some of the elements of the Hungarian digital strategies. Start with the competency development. As I mentioned, we have competency development for each age groups, starting with digital curriculum, which is a part of the Hungarian national core curriculum. Already in the primary school, secondary school, of course in the university, students are using it already. We started to have also educational programs for adults, because if somebody didn't study this in the school, they need to have a chance to understand that. But this is the same way for elderly people and pensioners. They are also part of this. The programs for digital enterprises plays one of the most important role here. And since I started with the COVID situation, we advertised a re-education program in digitalization, in informatics. It was one of our most successful programs during the last few months when the COVID hit also Hungary. Of course, we need to have the proper hardware, the proper infrastructure for this. Internet and high-speed communication plays an important role here. Without that, we would not be able to have this today conversation as well. Hungary is doing quite well here as far as the super-fast internet development is concerned. Currently, as far as the access to the internet and also the coverage of the high-speed internet in Hungary, we are number 6, number 7 in the world ranking list, and we would like to continue with this. That is the reason that we advertise the second phase, which is a super fast internet program. Here we talk about the 1 gigabit per second internet access for the Hungarian households and for the Hungarian institutions. The investments is pretty huge here, but this is an investment where the return on investor will pay back very quickly. The 5G communication development plays an important role here. Better to say the 5G is not only communication, but it offers us totally new opportunities. Here we don't talk only about phone communication or access to the internet, but we talk about many other things like machine-to-machine communication, allowing technologies like autonomous vehicles or a simple notebook what I have in front of me, but to have it in the cloud. In the 5G developments, Hungary set the target that we would like to reach the status that in 2023 all major Hungarian cities will have 5G coverage, total 5G coverage. And also we set the target that the Hungarian companies were, by the way, Hungary, as far as the high-tech content of the production and the products is, well, number one within the OECD countries together with Germany with 70% content. We would like to reach it until mid of 2023. Currently, Hungary is doing quite well with this. If we look at the 5G development activities, we are actually on the place 3 in Europe. Of course, you need to have the software to the hardware in order to use all these opportunities. I would like to say some words about artificial intelligence and the blockchain technologies which add the intellectual content to the previously mentioned hardware elements. Hungary elaborated the artificial intelligence strategy and the government approved it a few months ago. We set 3 major targets. First of all, we would like to reach that 15% of the GDP by 2030 will be reached by applications in artificial intelligence. 26% of the productivity growth will be supported also by artificial intelligence. And we have the vision that 2030, while building on our high-tech industries, 1 million of our citizens will perform new or higher added value job, which was made possible by the artificial intelligence. And we also deployed the strategy to individual fields, starting for transportation to the energy system up to the healthcare system. The structure of the AI strategy shows all the cards of this. We have foundation pillars where the most important element is starting the data-driven economy and putting it into motion. We have made already the first steps of that. We have also defined some specific focus areas like manufacturing, like healthcare, agriculture, or public administration, where these technologies will be promoted by the government and also by the other stakeholders as well. And also we defined several transformative programs where we need to show to the people that what are the opportunities offered by the artificial intelligence in virtually almost all fields of our life, in transportation, in health, in climate research, in data economy, and so on. As I mentioned, we already designed the strategy. We established a coalition called Artificial Intelligence Coalition. Almost 300 participants contributed to this strategy, and this strategy was already announced. As you can see on the right-hand side, it's not my person is important, but the one which is standing to the right side of the picture, it was a robot who was contributing also to this announcement. So this is all possible today. Blockchain technologies are also playing an important role. With the leadership of the Central Bank of Hungary, we established a working group, we can call it also as a sort of platform for the development and also usage of the blockchain technologies. And in addition to that, we also joined to the European Blockchain Partnership, where the structure is being formed currently. Currently there are several use cases defined for the European cooperation in the field of blockchain, like the diplomas, like the self-sovereign identity or trusted data sharing. So Hungary is also part of that. This is the last chart of my presentation because this conference is about digital finance. I could stop my presentation here and simply saying that what does it mean, fintech or digital financing? This is the conference all about, and the task for the Hungarian government to provide the necessary environment. That's what I've talked about. And if we look what are we doing in this sector, well, besides many other things, here the number of the fintech companies, already higher than 100. There are European companies, but also Hungarian companies providing local and also cross-border services. The digital government, the digital finance from the government side, starting from tax filing up to many other things, is also a part of that. And in addition to that, we have different proactive systems which are provided by the authorities. So I wish you a good conversation for today, and this was my contribution, what Hungary is doing in this field. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Minister Parkovic, for sharing this valuable information with our global audience. As our next speaker, I'm pleased to announce Hungary's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Mr. Peta. Given the fact that the COVID-19 situation already highlighted the importance of good ties and helping hands between the East and the West, I believe there is no better person to talk about Hungary's openness to further strengthening international business connections. Please welcome Minister Szijjártó.
First of all, I would like to express my appreciation to the organizers of the World FinTech Festival. First of all, to host this event regardless of the very complicated circumstances this year, but on the other hand to include Hungary among the guest countries. That gives us a huge chance to present ourselves and convince the FinTech community to think about Hungary more seriously than before. We understand that the pandemic is not only a challenge regarding healthcare, but challenge regarding economy as well. We witness a sharp race being launched in the world for the global redistribution of the production capacities. Hungary has entered this race, and we understand very well that only those countries can be successful in this race who are able to use the technologies of the modern age, namely the financial technology, in a proper manner. We understand the need for digital transformation. That's why we have established our national digitalization strategy, which aims that Hungary should be among the top 10 countries regarding the European Union when it comes to digitalization by the end of this decade. Our FinTech strategy has been also established, and the main aim of this strategy is that no Hungarian citizen, should be prevented from taking advantage of digital competencies because of the lack of knowledge in this regard. Our aim is that when it comes to online banking, we should reach the EU's average by 2022, and when it comes to the number of digital transactions, then it should reach 50% of all transactions. We know that a proper regulatory framework is necessary in this regard. That's why we would like to avoid that costs putting a burden on financial transactions would prevent the opportunity of innovations to be spread around. And in the meantime, we would like to decrease the use of paper when it comes to bureaucracy, and would like to help the paperless solutions to be more widespread. We understood that the financial crisis back in 2008 prevented the financial institutions from spending enough financial resources on research, development and innovation. But now we see this situation has been changed, and we are happy as a government to cooperate with the financial institutions here in Hungary to develop new FinTech solutions. The most technological innovations apply to the financial transactions. That's why we have approved a strategy which helped to introduce the system of immediate payments and a strong system of verification of the customers. Recently we have introduced a regulation which says that in case of using a credit card while purchasing something, the strong methodology of verification of the customer must be applied. On the other hand, when it comes to immediate payment, those transactions which do not exceed 10 million HUF and are being launched on an electronic basis will be implemented in 5 seconds, 0-24 the whole day and every day of the year. We understand that one of the consequences of the pandemic is that the society, members of the society, are much more present on the digital platforms, and this of course brings some challenges ahead in the form of cybercrime, which must be addressed in a proper way. When it comes to the increase of using digital platforms, I can share the following information with you. Following the pandemic, during the last quarter, it has happened for the first time in Hungary that people have spent more money by using their credit card than the amount of money being taken out from the bankomats. And we understand that most Hungarian people are happy and ready to use the more secure ways of payment than cash. And according to the study of Deloitte Digital, which has been executed during summer, this phenomenon has accelerated the digitalization in Hungary. Back in 2018, 55% of Hungarian customers has managed their issues with the banks exclusively on the spot in the local branches of the banks. Now this has decreased to 19% from 55%. The number of omnichannel customers has increased to 46%, and the number of the digital, or the share of the digital customers, has increased from 25 to 36%. And the feeling of comfort or in the digital platforms has improved by the 24% of the customers, and has improved significantly by the 26% of the customers. Usually such kind of changes take 1.5 decades normally, but now the pandemic has such a consequence in this regard. From next year onwards, we oblige the shops in Hungary to make it possible for the customers everywhere to be able to pay electronically. That means 50,000-60,000 new places in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a short summary in nutshells how Hungary has enhanced the FinTech related approach here in Central Europe, and I would like to express once again our appreciation to the organizers, to the hosts, to invite us. And I would like to encourage all entrepreneurs and corporates on the field of FinTech to put Hungary into consideration as a location for investments or development activities. The Hungarian government is ready, eager and open to negotiate with you about the possible ways of our future cooperation. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Minister Szijjártó, thank you for that detailed insight into the current situation in Hungary. And now, as the Singaporean partner of this high-level session, please welcome someone who does not need an introduction. The Chief FinTech Officer at the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the beating heart of the Singaporean FinTech Festival, Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty.
His Excellencies Minister Szijjártó, Minister Parkovic, Ambassador Sir Da Hei, Deputy Governor Patai, Chief Digital Officer Sambate, distinguished guests, good morning to everyone joining us from Hungary. I'd like to begin by thanking the Magyar Nemzeti Bank, the Central Bank of Hungary, for organizing this event and giving me the opportunity to deliver my remarks. Thank you also to the Embassy of Hungary in Singapore for coming down to observe the proceedings. This event is a part of the Singapore FinTech Festival. Now, during this global pandemic, it has forced us to reimagine the way we deliver this festival. And since we have been launching this, we launched this festival in 2016, this event has become a global platform where we bring people together to celebrate achievements in FinTech and to connect people and exchange knowledge and ideas. This year, because of the pandemic, we have decided on a hybrid format for the festival. This combines an online event with other online and physical satellite events around the world. And I was told we're close to 40 plus sites globally where we are all connected and coming together. I'm happy that MNB shares our vision and has pulled together this event to share the knowledge and ideas coming out of Hungary with the rest of the world through the Singapore FinTech Festival. And I was personally in Hungary last year, and I saw the vibrant community out there picking up in the space of FinTech. The successful organization of the Budapest satellite event today highlights the warm relations between Singapore and Hungary, as well as the strong FinTech partnership between MNB and MAS in recent years. I'm also glad to note that this year marks 50 years of diplomatic relations between our countries. Over 50 years, both the regions have built a strong, multifaceted linkages. EU is ASEAN's second largest trading partner. ASEAN is EU's third largest trading partner. EU is also Singapore's top trading partner in services, while Singapore is EU's top ASEAN trading partners in services. In the area of financial services, FIs from EU and ASEAN have expanded significantly into each other's markets. One hand, banks and other FIs in the EU has grown their reach into the ASEAN and Singapore. On the other hand, Singapore and ASEAN FIs have set their sights on building a strong presence in the EU market as well. Hungary and Singapore are well placed to support the deep financial linkages between the EU and Singapore. We serve each other's node well. Hungary is a hub for trade and businesses in Central and Eastern Europe. Singapore has been an international financial center for business, expanding into ASEAN and beyond ASEAN, the whole Asian market in generally speaking. And that's we are a gateway to the Asian market in this part of the world. Therefore, there's a room for both countries to deepen relationship and collaboration in financial services, particularly in FinTech. Hungary is one of the fastest growing FinTech market in the world, and there has been large push in the Central Asian market in this space, and largely due to the foresight and ambition of the MNB in identifying FinTech as the key growth area. MS has been keenly engaging with the MNB to see how we can help each other to grow the pie and better leverage technology to deliver a smarter, more efficient, and more inclusive financial sector in our countries. That is why the MNB and the MAS have decided to enter into a FinTech Cooperation Agreement. The agreement sets out the framework for collaborating between these two central banks, which includes referral mechanism for us to refer FinTech companies that are looking to access each other's market. And MNB and MAS will also explore joint innovation projects in areas such as payment, settlement system, AI, machine learning, and distributed ledger technology. We also commit to share information on financial sector innovation. This agreement will strengthen the foundation for us to bilaterally cooperate in FinTech, and also helps us to deepen the ecosystem from both sides as we expand to each other market. Deputy Governor Patai and I have been discussing this since last year, so I'm very glad to use this opportunity here at the Budapest satellite event today to sign the FinTech Cooperation Agreement. I'm certain that today's event is just one of many future collaborations between the MNB and MAS. With that, I'd like to conclude my remark, and I hope you enjoy the event as well as the rest of Singapore FinTech Festival. Have a fruitful week ahead and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Mohanty, for your positive, constructive thoughts. And now it's my pleasure to welcome you to the online session of the World FinTech Festival in Budapest, where a special commemorative medal will be presented. The Central Bank of Hungary will issue a particularly large, silver-coated, non-ferrous metal commemorative medal to honour the fact that Hungary established diplomatic relations with Singapore 50 years ago. I hope everyone is excited as I am about revealing this beautiful medal. Please welcome Mihaly Patai, Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Hungary, who will offer a detailed presentation of this commemorative medal.
His Excellency Minister Szijjártó, His Excellency Minister Parkovic, Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty, His Excellency Ambassador Szerdahely, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Central Bank of Hungary, I would like to welcome you to the World FinTech Festival in Budapest. 2020 proved to be an irregular year in many respects, but this is also special in the history of Singaporean and Hungarian relations, since this year we celebrate the 50th anniversary of establishing diplomatic relations between the two countries. Hungary's cooperation with Singapore is based on mutual respect and friendship. Being open economies, both countries are ardent supporters of free and fair international trade and global economy. On the occasion of this 50th anniversary, the Central Bank of Hungary produced and issued an exclusive piece of remembrance, a particularly large silver-coated commemorative medal with the diameter of 100 millimeters in a very limited edition. These special medals strive to display all our common values: respect for traditions, sustainability, and partnership. In this spirit, on the obverse, Hungarian and Singaporean motifs are featured, balancing one another in a harmonious thematic connection. In the upper third of the coin side, the national flags representing the two countries' diplomatic relations are shown. Right below, the number 1970 refers to the year when diplomatic relations were established. In the upper legend, linked to the national flags, the letterings Hungary and Singapore are featured in the country's official languages, in Hungarian and in English. On the right of the obverse, the representation of the flower of the modern city-state, the Singaporean orchid, is seen. This flower representation is artistically linked to the tulip, appearing as a Hungarian folk art motif, the symbol of tree of life. The modern articulation of folk art motifs nicely combines the respect for tradition with modern style. In addition to respect for tradition, sustainable development is also a value of key importance in Singapore, and it is symbolized well by the solar-powered super trees in nature parks, gardens by the bay, which reduce the greenhouse effect and collect rainwater. Their representation is shown within the landscape on the reverse. The Hungarian side is represented by the Ibl Creative House Buddha. In the house built in the 19th century in a style of mimicking the Renaissance, function is combined with art. The historical landmark building currently functions as a cultural meeting place. I believe that this commemorative medal expresses our common values and great cooperation. Please let me close with quotes from two gentlemen who had made a difference. First of all, Lee Kuan Yew, the first Prime Minister of Singapore and former Minister Mentor of Singapore. A quote, "I am very determined. If I decide that something is worth doing, I shall put my heart and soul to it. The whole ground can be against me, but if I know it's right, I shall do it. That's the business of a leader," unquote. And the Nobel Prize winner Albert Szent-Györgyi, quote, "See what everyone can see, and think no one has thought before," unquote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Governor, and I must say that the commemorative medal is truly beautiful indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the event where the commemorative medal to honour the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Singapore and Hungary was officially presented. And now over to Singapore, where, at the request of the Central Bank of Hungary, Dr. István Szerdahely, Hungary's ambassador to Singapore, will hand over a complimentary medal to Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty, Chief FinTech Officer at the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Thank you, Dr. Szerdahely and Mr. Mohanty. The fast-developing professional cooperation between the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the Central Bank of Hungary can be further enhanced along the lines of the Cooperation Agreement, since the two authorities can speed up the international expansion of international businesses and launch common innovation projects for the promotion and application of cutting-edge technologies. Please welcome the Chief Digital Officer at the Central Bank of Hungary, Ms. Anikó Szombati, and the Chief FinTech Officer at the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty, to sign the Cooperation Agreement. Thank you very much, Ms. Szombati and Mr. Mohanty.